Okay, call apex methods imperatively. So in wire method, we have seen that wire properties, we have seen that we can call apex method automatically, right? Based on component load, wire method gets called automatically, and we can pull data from Salesforce to display on the HTML template. Also, any changes happen to the any property, right, which we are passing to the apex method using the wire method, right? So wire method gets called automatically, and it will call the apex method, then pull the data and display the refresh data. We also seen that we need to mention cacheable equal to true in wire method. The reason behind is we put cacheable equal to true. So why do we need to put it that into the apex side, right? So the reason behind is whenever any changes happen to the records, right? To the records that we are pulling from the apex. So it will automatically get reflected in the LWC component. But if let's say we are already on the lightning web component, let's say we are already on this component, right? And we are displaying this list, right? Here on the search. But what happens is if no changes happen, then it will automatically, avoid the apex callouts. So instead of what it will do is it will first of all it will check in the cache if data is changed or not. If data is changed, then it will call to the apex method. If not, then it will simply display the data from the cache itself. So that's why this cacheable equal to true that we need to make it in the wire methods. But here we explicitly the call apex method imperatively, meaning we can decide when we need to give call to the apex method based on user interaction. Means we will decide explicitly when this method will get called. But in the wire method, it will automatically get called. So this is the difference between wire method and call apex method imperatively. So for example, here in the call apex method imperatively, what we will do is based on any change of the value or based on like on click of the button, we can explicitly call to the apex method and pull the refresh data. But in the wire, it will get automatically called based on if attribute that we are passing, a value that we are passing, if any changes happen to that value, it will automatically call that apex method. Or any means or component load. Whenever you refresh your page or your components gets loaded on the page, then it will call your apex method from the wire. But here you guys can see here, right? You guys can see in this screenshot one button is the load contacts, and once you click on this button, then your apex method will get called and it will pull the refresh data. So explicitly we are saying that once we click on that, then and then this method will get called, which will pull the refresh data. Like here you guys can see these are some different points that we need to keep in mind, that to call the method apex method we don't need to make cacheable equal to true, right? Also, if we put cacheable equal to true, we cannot perform DML operations. This is one difference in cacheable equal to true and non-cacheable. So take a note of it. When we put it cacheable equal to true, we cannot perform DML operations into these methods where we put it cacheable equal to true web for the Apex methods. Next, calling this Apex method imperatively, we can control when should invocation happens, right? When we can invoke Apex method, that is in our control now, that we can control. Also, these are the object task events are not supported. Yeah, forget about this. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll directly see the example though, so I'll get more clarity on it. So what I'll do is I'll go back to my code, VS Code, and we'll create new component. Again, we follow same, and it will create automatically these three files for me by default. And to make it available, first of all, make sure that you are putting this right. So I'm just copying those and putting it here. Okay, so in the JavaScript, what I'll do is okay. So here, what I did is in this JavaScript, I have taken track. I imported track model from the LWC, then taken these contacts as a trackable variable. Error also is a trackable variable. Then I have one method here, handle load, get contact list, and now I also need to import this get contact list. I'll just put it here. Get contact list. Let me see if we have that method available in contact controller. Get contact list. Yes, we have it. Okay, and the UI side will keep it as it is. Let me go back to this page. I'll take one lightning card here. Then I'll put title. So title would be imperative. Imperative. method demo bash 3, and into it what I'll do is I'll simply copy these statements. Let me copy this lightning time load contacts, and then I'll simply take this out. So 1 second. I'll simply display that there. So here what we did is we have taken one method here, handle load, and from that handle load we are calling this get contact list. So we follow the syntax as we have already seen, right, to call this method in the apex site, and we have taken this out like dot. Then I'll tell you what is this. Then if we got the results, right, then we are assigning this result to the this struct contact. So then and catch, what is this then and catch here, right? So these are the callback methods. These are the callback methods. Whenever we are calling to the apex method into callback, if you're getting result, right, if your our request is successful, basically these are the methods from promises, javascript promises. So javascript promises has some states like fulfilled, rejected, and pending. Pending means not rejected nor successful, but fulfill. If the state has a fulfill value, then meaning it's successful. If it is successful, then what we need to do is, so this is the statement, or this is the method which will run asynchronously once you get the state as a fulfilled. So we will decide what to do if we have result, or if your apex call was successful, and then we will decide what to do. If it is rejected, meaning if it is has some errors, then what should happen? So if it has some errors, it will catch that error, and we can simply do whatever things we want to do with that error message. So here is the error that we are catching here, and we are storing here in this local variable. So also if we are successful with the results with the apex call, then what we are doing here is we are just assigning that result to this dot contacts. So whatever value we are getting on success of that apex call, the result we are storing here in the this dot contacts. And then what we are doing with this dot contact on the UI side, we are just iterating over this, right? You can see if it is true, if this successful, or if context has some value, then simply we are iterating over it for each item, and we are just displaying the contact name over here. And if we are having error, we are just displaying the error message over here. So let me push it and let's see how does it works. Something went wrong. Extra bracket. Okay, let me deploy this. Yeah, successfully deployed. I'll just refresh it and we will embed that LWC component here. The imperative method demo batch. I will save it, and once it is saved, we'll go back to the page. Guys can see this button. So imperative method demo batch 3, it's the name of a lightning card, meaning this is our component. And if you click it, so no errors, I can see. Let me refresh it and handle load. On click of it, handle load method gets thing called. Why it's not displaying? 1 second. Okay, so what I do is I'll basically go back to the classes, get contact list. We don't have such a method, right? Which returns the data for us. Get contact list. I'll just deploy this. And I will refresh this. Let's see. No. Let me do one thing. I'll just doesn't matter, but let's see. Okay, let me look at into this document. Handle load. Okay, sharing. I'll deploy this. Get contact list and okay, we are having same values. I'll deploy this also. See, so if you guys can see here, right? If you click on the load contacts button, it's fetching those 10 contacts. So until we press the button, see if you onload, it's not showing those contacts, right? But if I press this button, it's showing the contact. It's loading contact for me, right? So this means explicitly we can call the apex method. So meaning what it will do is unnecessarily it will avoid the unnecessarily apex calls from the JavaScript. So what will happen? User will decide on based on which action we want to fetch data, right? So this is what the difference between wire methods and call apex method imperative, explicitly called apex method. Okay. Now, okay, next point. You have seen this, then what is this? Now, along with the wire properties, we got some wire adapters and functions. So it's standard functions and adapters which will give us some values, or these are some features in which we don't need to call apex methods. We don't need to play with apex. So by default, we will get some data, some Salesforce data we can access here without calling the apex methods. Like in Aura components, right? We were getting this record IDs by taking attribute, right? Attribute in the Aura component method record ID, right? And we can access that attribute and do whatever we want to by using that particular record ID, right? So similar thing here is we just need to, what we need to do here is, I will just do it here. we will need this API property here. So how do we access this current record ID? I'll show you that. So what we need to do is we need to take this @API and record ID like this, and let's push this. And what I'll do is I'll simply put that record ID here. Record ID, and I'll simply deploy it. Yeah, successful. And what we need to do is, in order to have this record ID, right, we need to put this component somewhere. So okay, let it be, let this. 1 second. Let's say, let me go to the accounts. I have already taken this here. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll edit this, or 1 second. Instead, okay, instead I'm putting this component in the contact page because we already have it on the account. So let me put that component here. You guys can see this current record ID. I can see this record ID here, right? So this is how, only the thing that you need to do is go to your JS file, right? Pull these APIs, right, from the LWC model. So this is your variable that should be, this should be like this, @API record ID, and then what you need to do is just simply print here, or if you can, if you want to pass it some method and fetch the record IDs, sorry, fetch the record or fetch the related records, whatever you want to do is you can do it by passing this current record ID. Okay, so this is how you can get it without calling to the Apex. Next thing, current object API name. So how do we do that? So this is the variable that you need to declare here like this. Object API name and simply semicolon. And what I'll do is I'll go back here. What I'll do is I'll take current object API. I'll deploy this. This object API name takes some time. So in the previous sessions as well, I had to refresh it multiple times, logged out and logged in back till it was not displaying here. So let me try by logging out. It's taking than expected. Okay, it's loaded. See if you guys can see current object API name, and here you can see contact. So sometimes it's take time to get it loaded or get it reflected here on the page. So what you guys can do is you can simply logged out and logged in back and refresh the page. Then you will see that values are getting reflected, right? Contact. I can see the current object name. So dynamically, I can fetch these values from JavaScript. So these are the some standard ways, adapters that I can utilize to get some data here. Or another thing is if I want to fetch current logged in user ID. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm just copying these things. So I'll just go back here. I'm just putting like this, and I'll take one variable. The JavaScript is case sensitive, so hopefully we'll get value in this. Current user ID. What I'll do is I'll simply put it in p tags. Taking this out and put it here. Taking this out, put it at the last. I'll deploy this. So let's see current user ID. Let me refresh this page. It's not loading. Okay. Let me check one more time. User ID equal to user ID. Let me refresh empty cache. See, current user ID 005. This is the current user ID. So we haven't query anything, right? Dynamically, we are getting this data on this page, right? What's next? Okay, we got the current user ID. Based on user IDs, whatever things we have to do in LWC, we can do it. Also, we can get some object references here, right? So how do we get it? So dynamically, if you want to access object references, right? So this is the syntax that we need to follow. Import account object. This is the name of the variable. I am from Salesforce schema account. So you just need to mention this and your account object will be available here. Then let's say you want to fetch, you want to get some, you want to access some relationship field, right? Some parent field or parent.name, like I have taken here account.parent.name. So you can simply get that parent account name, right? Field name here. So similarly, to access the metadata of the object, right? We have by default this object, get object information. Let me try this out and let's see what it returns. I haven't tried it, but let's try it out. I think we need to do something. Okay, we need to import wire here. taking this out. Okay, this is the correct place. Count object info, and what I'm doing here is I'm just putting this here. Okay, account object info, and let's see what happens. I haven't tried it yet, but I would like to see as well. Let's deploy this change. Okay, it's again not loading properly. We have deployed it already successfully. Account info, get object info, object name is this. Object TPA name equal to, okay, object is fitting. Where is it showing like this? So if you guys can see, right, we are getting some values, but this is printing like this, but we are getting the object information, right? Oh, let me see if we can parse it. Or what happens if we put it like this? It's still showing like this, but this is how you can get the object. I need to see how we can, pass this value to utilize it. Now, next thing is like how do we get pick list values, right? So get pick list values. Here is the documentation of it. Let's see quickly. So to get the pick list values, again, we need to import this, right? UI object info APIs from Lightning. And we need to call this like using the wire, and we have to pass these parameters like current record ID, field API name like this, and then those values will get stored here. And then you guys can display these values on the UI. So let's try it out. Let's see how does it works. I haven't tried it. Okay. Okay, we already have it. UI object info APIs. Okay. So only the thing we need to do is this. Let's say account industry pick list. Okay, let me check on the contact. Okay, to see that we need to put this component on the, we'll put it by this component there then, no worries. And we'll simply call this property and function. This dot, not sure if it will work or not. Will depend. Let me look here. What is there? Industry. Now what I'll do is, let's see, should work. I'll do is, and what we'll do is property function. I'll deploy it. Hopefully it will display on the UI. Okay, it's showing some errors. We need to import it. Okay. I'm just deploying this. Let's see quickly if it is happening or not. And I will simply put it in the account record page. Okay. I'll just edit this page. First of all, I will take this component out from here and I'll put it ours here. Reactions cannot read. We're having some error. Okay. But you guys can reference, take reference of this instead of, where is that chat? You guys can take a look into it. How do we, instead of wasting our time, I would suggest to try it out, record ID. So 1 second, I have that syntax. It's a syntax error. So I don't remember exactly. 1 second. Or let's try it out with the hard-coded ID. Let's see. -3. There is a syntax to pass this record ID. Okay, so that's why. Okay, record ID was not there. Review this dot record ID. It should work now. Let's try it one more time, and if it is not, then we'll pass simple hard-coded ID and let's see the result. Till then, what I'll do is I'll take this out and we'll put, no, it's not happening. Something went wrong with this syntax, as I mentioned, right? There is another syntax for this to pass this record ID. I don't remember exactly. Industry is not defined. What else if we put it like this? And I will just refresh it and let's see. You guys can see some values are getting. I need to check it out how we can pass it and display on the UI, but we are getting values here, right? We may need to parse it in the backend and then we need to display here. I'll check on that and we'll let you know on this. So this is how these are some wire adapters. Almost we have seen all of this. I had only this one. So get list values. So this is how we can uh, print wire adapters, right? We can use wire adapters and we can fetch data dynamically without calling to the Apex. And we have also seen how we can call Apex method imperatively. Any doubts, guys? Okay, guys, if you don't have any doubts, we can close the call. Thank you very much.